Hi, I'm Derek, and welcome to Fun Scale Models. In this series, I'll be showing you how to build a park scale model, specifically a P40C Tomahawk. I'll show you, if you're a newer modeler, on how to set up your build table, what sort of tools you'll need, as well as some of the specifics on building the airplane. So let's take a look at it. And here's the model. The model is around 28 inches in wingspan, weighs about 7 ounces, and is powered by an 18-gram motor. My inspiration came from a free flight model made by the Comment Company. I took the original design, imported it into CAD, and modified it considerably to make it bigger as well as radio controlled. This model is laser cut by Manzano Laserworks. I work with them for all my designs. They're a great company. They have excellent service, excellent wood cutting, and good wood selection, so I can't recommend them enough. Throughout the build, I'll be showing you how to assemble this model, what are some tips on how to put it all together. Some of the unique features about this model is it does have a hatch for the battery. Here you can see the servos as well as the receiver. And another unique thing is, if you want to fly off of a prepared surface, you can, or you can hand launch this model because it features plug-in wheels. So let's actually get into what do I need to do to prepare to build this model. Modelers mention to me when I'm discussing at the field about building their own model is the fact that they don't have the space to do so. What's nice about some of these smaller models is you can actually build them on a card table. So many models that I've built this last year due to COVID and just wanting to be in and out of the heat of the garage in the Arizona summers, I've done on this specific table. The importance is it needs to make sure that it's a very level and flat surface. Some modelers like to use magnets in a metal sheet. Some like to actually use glass. I prefer to use a pin board. The one that I have here I've used for many years. It's actually from a bulletin board where I took the perimeter off. You'll also need cutting mats. These you can purchase from a lot of craft stores. You can get them in different sizes. I like to have a medium-sized one as well as a smaller one whenever I'm working on a model. Plan protection. So most models you'll build directly over the plans themselves, and you want to protect them from having the glue sticking to the paper or as well as your building board. A couple different things you can use is wax paper. Something I've been using more recently is a plastic drop cloth. You'll want to get one with a heavier thickness to it. Make sure that it's clear, but this also works very well in protecting your plans and reducing the amount of glue stickage. And of course, you're going to need pins. I use everything from T-pins to button pins to push pins. I've got a lot of different sizes and varieties, and just basically whatever I need, I've got something available for me. On a balsa wood model, there's a lot of different types of adhesives that you can use. The most common that I like to use are CA glues. They come in different thicknesses and viscosity. This is, of course, thin, which makes it an instant. The moment you attach it, you're gluing things. There's also slower versions as well. They give you 1 to 2 seconds working time. Some modelers do have allergens to that, so they like to use a classic wood glue. If I've got a surface that I'm also needing to have a little bit of extra strength in it, I'll like to use a wood glue. Another glue that I've been experimenting with recently is PVA. It also dries pretty quickly. It's a thin viscosity, and if you want, you can use an applicator with a fine tip to get much more accurate when you're applying the glue. And then anytime you're gluing a plastic that's clear or like a canopy, I always recommend canopy glue. With glues though, we also will be using different types of tape. You can use packing tape. I also like to use regular clear tape that you would use at your desktop, and the various different types of masking tapes. In the finishing of a model, you will be needing to use sandpaper on it. The typical grits I will use are 80, 120, 220, and 320, but it's really up to the individual modeler on what they prefer. You can get this from all sorts of different sources, from hobby sources, from big box home renovation stores, that sort of thing. One of the things that I like to use are these strips that have a gummy backing on them, so it makes it much easier to apply them to a sanding block. Sanding blocks come in all different shapes and sizes. This is one that's a ready-made tool that's specifically built for this sticky tape, but you can also use other blocks that are out there. So for this one, I've got 120 and I've got 80 on this side, so you can quickly move from different grits. You can get on different pads, and there's also different grits for those, and they're very handy, especially if you're trying to sort of move an overall surface and just knock down some high points. I even use that double-sided stuff on sticks of plywood. I think this was originally a stir stick from that home supply store. Another thing to use, and I think come in very handy, are these small files. I think I got these for like $1 a piece or something like that. But what's benefited about these, you can get them into really tight and difficult spaces. And the ones that have the fine points on them, if you were to spin them like this on balsa or even light ply, they make nice pinholes for something that's maybe a little bit smaller than your standard drill bit. And while it's nice to be able to have, say, a drill press or a table saw, it's not necessarily a requirement to be able to do most modeling. Most of it could actually be done with hand tools. A couple key ones to use I'm going to show you here. The first one being is a plane. This is a small block plane. Invaluable for rough shaping, wing tips, leading edges, anything that requires you to really take a lot off but be precise while doing it. And it'll save you a lot more time than just simply sanding it to that shape. The next one here is what's called a Balsa Stripper. And what it allows you to do is to adjust the width of cut along the sheet of a balsa. And I'll show you in the actual build episodes. But this is something that is very inexpensive. Both of these are, but they're a vital tool to any builder. A level, again, I think I got this for just a few dollars at a hardware store. A miniature hacksaw. This is great for cutting, of course, cross grain, and a useful tool. Z-bender. Not a requirement, but it's sort of a nice to have tool, and they're pretty inexpensive. This is great for when you're setting up the control surfaces with your model. Variety set of smaller screwdrivers. This is, again, a set that I bought, but I've got all sorts of individual ones. Different types of pliers. Many of you will probably already have this for just your regular garage. Different types of scissors, wire cutter or side cutter, also very important. A neat tool that I use more than I use my electric drill, which is a good thing to have, is a pin vise. It gets you a lot more precise, and I use pretty standard a 16-inch bit on it. And then, of course, the blade itself. So there's a bunch of different types of blades. I prefer a number 11, and this is actually a scalpel blade. I've switched to those. They're sharper, they seem to last a little bit longer, and just like a standard X-Acto blade or number 11 blade, you can buy them in bulk. Those are some of the basic tools that you would need to build a model. Of course, there's a lot of other ones out there, but those are the fundamentals that you would need to do your model. In our next episode, I'll be showing you how to prepare before your build, before we actually start construction. If you enjoy this series, please like us, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe.